What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Bass Lane Podcast. Thank you for joining us tonight. Take a little bit of time out of your night to get on here and watch. Appreciate it. Tonight we've got a super cool guy on here. I'm really looking forward to it. Uh, all the way up from Maryland. It's a pretty good haul, all the way up there up north. This guy's been fishing. Fishes the opens. I think he started at 17 years old. So I'm really excited to dive into how he's kind of grown through the fishing. Starting out as a freshman, bass fishing, and just jumped right into it. It's been super cool to kind of look back and see where he started. But we're going to share it with you guys tonight. Please welcome to the stage, Reese Tremaglio. How's it
Thank you,
going, man?
Presley.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm doing great. I appreciate the introduction. Thank you for having me on here too. I mean, I'm kind of excited to talk fishing and kind of share people my story of how it was fishing the opens at such a young age in high school. So,
yeah, absolutely. What are you getting into right now? I mean, college season kind of getting kicked off, and I mean, I'm sure it's kind of a busy time.
yeah, it definitely is. I mean, it's been a lot of ups and downs, especially with this weather being like as it is. We just got back from Lake Murray in South Carolina. We have a college event there for Bassmaster, and then we have actually a few weeks off up until the end of the month, end of February for Lake Eufaula and a fundraiser event that the Auburn team is doing as well. Um, it's really busy. I really don't have the schedule on the top of my head just because like there's just so many tournaments that we're doing like from back to back to back, whether it's the club tournaments within the Auburn team or it's Bassmaster, MLF, ACA, Southern Collegiate. There's so many divisions, and I'm gonna try to mix in a few opens in there as well this year and Toyota Series over the summer, obviously, because I'm gonna do the northern ones because I'm from Maryland, so it's not
Yeah,
too far to drive for me, which is
yeah,
nice.
absolutely. Uh, so what is it? Where? So you're from Maryland? What part of Maryland?
So I'm like 20 minutes south of Annapolis. It is southern Maryland. It's a really nice area. We're like kind of like on a peninsula. It's like between the bay and the Patuxent River, and like that's like where I learned how to fish is the Patuxent River, and I spend a lot of time on the Potomac. That's like where all the tournaments are out of. That's kind of where I started fishing tournaments because the Patuxent's just too small, but it's fun to kind of learn and figure out the tides because there's just a lot to it. So
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up, I guess on the Patuxent River, that's a tidal fishery.
yes, yep. So it's a tidal fishery. The Patuxent and the Potomac actually both lead into the Chesapeake Bay. And like it gets it's brackish water, it gets salty as you go further south, but when you're all the way up north, like towards the DC area on the Potomac and a little further south of that, and then like it's like the upper Marlboro area, which is like 15 minutes from my house north. Like that fresh waters, it's really good at the right times, obviously, but
Oh
takes
yeah,
a lot
we're
to
talking
figure out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, how long did it kind of? I mean, is it? I've never been on a tidal lake or river, whatever you call it. Does it take some time to kind of learn the tides and like? I mean, it's kind of an art. I feel like.
Oh, it definitely is. Just because, like, it affects water fluctuating throughout the day. It affects water movement, and that's kind of what pushes bait into some of these grass flats and out and et cetera into some of these creeks. So, especially with the Potomac, which is like you can really tell because the tides fluctuate the water level there a bunch. Um, During slack tide, when it's the like none of the tides are moving at all, like there's no water movement, you might as well sit down and eat a sandwich.
Really?
It's not it's not good at all. It's the first hour of incoming and the last hour of outgoing tide is very, very good. That's like your two most optimal times. Just like when water really starts to move in, because that's kind of what pushes bait in. And if there's with tides, like if there's not water movement, like you're kind of out of luck. It's good and bad. I think it's one of those things with tides that make it a little better than lakes is that the fish are just a little bit more predictable.
Yeah.
Uh, but aside from that, I mean, it's definitely difficult to figure out, especially like I'm actually surprised you haven't been on any tidal bodies of water yet, but I'm sure you'll be at the James River, which is like maybe an hour and a half from my
Oh,
house.
really?
That's a big tidal place as well,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's kind of like all the properties are the same, but it takes a lot to figure out for sure.
Yeah. So are the tides the same, I mean, every day, or do they change, or how exactly is that from day to day?
So I don't know exactly how much it changes. I haven't really looked at like in terms of time, like timing, but it changes every day. Like for example, like high tide will be 6:45 p.m. on Saturday, but on Sunday, high tide might be 7 o'clock. Like it changes throughout the day, and there's a certain time pattern, but it kind of changes throughout the year. I haven't been on the Potomac in a little bit, so I haven't really spent a lot of time looking at that recently. But yeah, it only goes like a few minutes every day, so
Gotcha.
it's nothing crazy. But I mean, like if you go one weekend, like a Saturday, a Sunday, like the next weekend, high tide might be like totally opposite of
Really?
like the timing. Yeah. So I mean, it all changes and like of course the morning bite and the evening bite are still a thing. I mean, regardless of tide, but throughout the day, it's just like I said, the fish are definitely a lot more predictable that way. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It's kinda, I guess it's kinda like current fisheries, like
yeah,
rivers and stuff,
exactly. I mean,
having
yeah, it's literally like just like that. Like water movement. It's not quite as strong as like I don't know if you've been on the Coosa River. It's not quite as strong as like the dams there,
yeah.
but it's like it's noticeable at a certain point. So, I mean, it's definitely something you have to get used to. But like once you figure it out, like you'll be like, this is nice.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's
So
awesome.
so growing up in Maryland, on I guess, the Potomac, and then I'll try to say is it Patuxent or Patuxent?
Yeah, Patuxent. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, have you fished since you were, little, or, like, I mean, have you always fished, or is it kinda something you grew into?
Man, I literally picked up a rod probably for the first time when I was really little, but like I didn't start bass fishing until maybe 3 years ago.
Wow,
Uh,
really?
yes, yeah, I played travel basketball. I was on a ranked AAU team, travel team for a long time, all the way up until ninth grade. And then when COVID came, I had this aluminum boat. It was a G3 with a Yamaha 50 on it, and I went on the Patuxent River every day, like during online school. Like I would just have my computer on the front deck, and I would be flipping or doing something like every day, and I kind of gained the love for it through that, and uh, started doing like some local tournaments, and then gained like small lure companies like Venom Lures, and then kind of just took off from there. Didn't know I was gonna make it this far, this fast. It's a little overwhelming, but I love every step of it. But yeah, like on the Patuxent is kind of where I started, and I catfished a bunch. Like probably I started in fifth grade. Like we could go off my dock and catch like 40 pounders. It's
Really?
unbelievable. Yeah, it's unbelievable, and we still go. Me and my friends still go to this day in the summer at nighttime because like it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's fun.
So did y'all live right on the water?
Yes, yep. So like my house is like right on the water, and then there's just like a little pathway that goes down to the dock. It's not quite like lakes just because we're kind of like on a mountain, so it's steep. So you kind of
Yeah.
have to go around and then drive. But yeah, there's a whole pathway down. Like I used to just we have an ATV. I used to just drive the ATV and trailer my aluminum boat down there. Like it was like we weren't on the street or anything. So
Yeah. That's
nice.
awesome,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially during COVID. I mean, having something to do, just to pass the time and not being really able to do anything.
I
Um,
know, I know, and that was like the only thing you could do,
yeah,
and till this day, I mean, I still think the fishing industry benefited from that, like that outdoor space, at least benefited from people being like locked down because so many people just like decided like they were gonna pick up new hobbies like hunting, fishing, like etc. That
yeah,
they're just they stick with. So
yeah. Because I mean, that's all they could do, right?
exactly.
I agree. There's so many people we talk to. They're like, yeah, I started fishing or hunting even during COVID. And what's up, Mr. Tony? Thanks for. If Trevor's watching, tell him to stop calling me. He needs to stop calling me during podcasts. What's up, Mr. Tony? Thanks for watching. But yeah, fishing during COVID was definitely a big thing. Seemed like there was more people out than ever, and it's like the people that started, they just never quit. It's like
Yeah,
there's so
exactly.
many people that fish now, and it's kind of crazy to think about.
Oh, for
Um,
sure, man. And I mean, it's just like the timing wise, it was just like it all just kind of lined up. I just think it was kind of meant to be.
yeah,
Uh, and like it was for the better just because like the way like the fishing industry is right now, like they need people in the space like us that are young and enthusiastic and kind of ready to learn and grow. Just because like right now obviously like there's just so much chatting about live scope and just there's some negativity out there that like people like us kind of try to avoid and add positivity to like the fishing industry because that's kind of what we need. So
yeah, absolutely, I agree. Seems there's definitely a lot of negative talk or negative thoughts and stuff like that going on. So I definitely agree about that.
yeah, for
Did
sure.
did your dad fish? Your granddad fish? Like, did you have any mentors growing up?
Yes, so my dad he didn't fish. He still really doesn't to this day. He kind of he'll come along with me like if we're fun fishing, like once in a blue moon, and just drag a Carolina rig, catch a 5 pounder. Makes no sense,
Oh
like
yeah,
stuff like that.
the people that
Uh,
don't fish have that magic touch.
I don't get it. We fished a Wednesday nighter on the Potomac River, his first ever, and we caught like 17 something, placed second, and he hasn't fished a tournament with me since. And he's Mike Iaconelli if you ask him. So
Yep, there you
yeah.
go.
So I mean, my family definitely didn't teach me how to fish. There's some fishing background on my mom's side. I actually learned a couple weeks ago that my great grandfather was the first African American waterman in like the Southern Maryland area. He was a charter captain. But besides that, it was really wasn't my family. It was like this guy, his name's Stacy Kraft and his son CJ. They huge shout out to them if they're watching. They kind of mentored me as soon as I started fishing on the Patuxent. They moved into my neighborhood, and he was a retired pro. Stacy was. He fished like the Redmans and stuff like that. And they kind of took me under their wing right when I was kind of in the learning stages of fishing, and that's kind of like why I say it was just so meant to be for me, just because it was just such perfect timing. So huge
Yeah,
thanks to them if they're watching this.
yeah, yeah, for sure. What about your first tournament? Do you remember?
Uh, yeah, my first tournament was actually a BFL because high school just in the high school scene in Maryland's not nearly as strong as Tennessee or Alabama at all, and I didn't really have like I didn't know that it was like this crazy down here as it is, but I fished a BFL in the Potomac River. I caught 3 fish for 8 pounds. It was the most exciting 3 fish I had. Had probably one of the best practices I've ever had till this day. The day before, for some reason, didn't really have much experience. So I probably just set the hook on all the fish I probably should have caught in the tournament. I didn't know at the time. You know what I mean? I was
Yeah,
just so excited, and I caught my personal best the day before. It was an 8 pound, 3 ounce Potomac River bass, which is like, I mean, on Eufaula, that's like wow, but like on the Potomac, that's like really, really big.
Yeah.
I think
It's a
the
giant anywhere. I don't care where you're at.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, the first tournament was definitely a learning experience. I had my boater's license since I was 10. So I've always been driving boats, backing in boats. I backed in a trailer when I was like 11. So I've always just been in that scene, but like more like tubing, wakeboarding, stuff like that until I picked up fishing about 3 or
Yeah.
4 years ago. So
Yeah, I got you. So is there any like r besides like the rivers and stuff, is there actual lakes there? Like
so in the Baltimore, like not necessarily Baltimore, but just let's just say for now, like the Baltimore area, where actually our nearest Bass Pro is, there's lakes, but they're trolling motor only.
okay.
Um,
So they're
we got a
small, I guess.
yeah, they're small. We got a guy on our team now. Funny enough, he never met him until he got here, but he fished. He like lives in Maryland. Also, he fishes up there, and apparently they're pretty good. But like it's nothing like here. I mean, and even the Potomac and Patuxent, like I never fished offshore until I got to the opens,
Wow.
like ever. Because like I mean, it was just like you beat the bank or you fish grass flats, but to me that doesn't feel like now. That doesn't feel like offshore because like the deepest you'll fish on the Potomac is like 6 feet maybe, but the
Wow.
grass comes up to like two.
Yeah.
So it's like it's nothing like it was here, and that's why I fish so much. Is I really try to spend time kind of learning the offshore game because it's a learning experience. But I'm getting I wouldn't say pretty good, but I'm getting better at it. Just because like
Just such a different world, I guess.
it is, it really is, and uh, it it takes a lot of patience, a lot of timing, a lot of
Yeah,
grass.
absolutely.
You know what I mean? You go to some grass flats, you're just like, I'm here now, gonna fish around. But like you really have to graph, you really gotta dial in your electronics. You gotta there's a lot to it that I really learned during the opens, which is why I'm fortunate I fished that. So
So would you say did you fish the opens as a boater or a co-angler?
I was a boater. Yeah, I was a
Okay.
boater. Yeah.
So would you say that you, I mean, you fish against some good guys in the opens, some hammers.
Yeah.
So so would you say the opens is a good learning experience? I mean, that's a big jump, especially in high school.
100%. It is probably the best experience you can possibly have right now. Just because like the competition there is actually unbelievable. Like the the weights, when you look at the weights and you look at the fishing, like from our perspective that weren't at the tournaments or from somebody's perspective, it just looks like the lake's on fire, but it's not. Like these guys are just really good. They spend a lot of time on the water, and like it's a field now with this EQ setup that like you have to fish all nine with this field. It's mixed with guys that left MLF that are like veterans like Ish Monroe, Bobby Lane Jr. Then you got like young guys like Trey McKinney and Tyler Williams and Jacob Bigelow, like guys like them. And then you got like Logan Parks that came through the college scene. There's the best from a lot of different areas came to fish these opens, and it's a learning experience for sure. And I'm honestly like so fortunate, like 100%, that I fished that just because I gained a lot of connections. That there's a lot of guys that kind of are helping me and learn, like showing me like the secret stuff that isn't talked about, and like just the connections are priceless, honestly, because um, there's not a lot of professional fishermen nowadays, let alone guys that are willing to help you. So I think that if anybody's watching this and they're thinking like fishing at the opens is a boater, a co-angler, or pro, or whatever they call it now, definitely do it. It is totally worth it, and you'll learn like so much. It's unbelievable. So
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty cool. So where was your first open at?
it was Lake Eufaula here in Alabama. It was a lot of fun. It was like my first one. I was so excited.
Oh yeah.
Um, I had a great practice. It was like first week of March, so the shallow water deal kind of was just really good. In practice, obviously, and that's when I after that tournament's when I kind of learned that offshore was so important. It's it was very difficult on me just because fishing pressure was shallow, and the guys that caught him that tournament were cranking offshore and like just absolutely hammering them. Like Jacob told me he caught about 60 fish in like the last 2 hours, like every cast. So that was kind of just the turning point for me to kind of learn offshore. And then funny story, I came back here um, to Auburn, obviously, and I fished there quite a bit, and I offshore fish now pretty much a bunch. That's almost all I do,
Yeah.
and it's insane. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Oh yeah, it's fun. It's
Yeah. Have you
I think
been?
do what?
Have you been to Eufaula?
No, I've never been.
Really?
Yeah, never been to Eufaula.
Really?
It's
Oh,
it's
you
kind of it's it's definitely a good lake. You know, there's a lot of big tournaments there and stuff. But so how was going back to high school days? What was it? Well, I guess you really aren't too far from the high school days, but
no, not
so
really.
what was it like in Maryland? Did you fish any high school tournaments at all, or was it just straight to the big tournaments?
It literally straight to big tournaments. Like the high school tournaments that I could have fished, like the MLF ones, they had like 4 boats. Uh,
Wow.
just the scene wasn't big.
Yeah,
Now
for
we
sure.
have guys that came through the ranks of Alabama, like Bass Nation for high school here on Auburn's team, and they're like 250 boats, like
Yeah.
minimum. I'm like, whoa. Like
Yeah,
if
it's
I had
crazy.
that scene in Maryland, I would have fished high school for sure. But it's just we didn't have the facilities and like we just didn't have like the amount of people that enjoyed fishing. So I just pretty much started with BFLs and then I didn't take a step back. I stayed with BFLs, but I did a bunch of local stuff too. Just kind of trying to get my name like in the ranks of Potomac River and just kind of just learning like all of it. So that was kind of the yeah, this was a turning point for sure. So
Yeah. So other than Maryland, what was like the first tournament where you came like way down south and just like completely different ball game that you remember? You're like, wow, this is kind of crazy.
so in terms of South, I would say South Holston Lake in
Yeah,
Tennessee. I don't know if
yeah,
you've been there.
never been.
Yeah, it's I had a BFL there. It's my first like southern like went south to fish besides like the Kissimmee chain and stuff like that for a tournament, but um it it was terrible. I zeroed out. I didn't fish offshore at all. I pretty much flipped like the same mile stretch all day back and forth. I just didn't know. And yeah, I mean, it was definitely humbling. And down south, just because of the weather staying somewhat, I mean, in theory, somewhat warm year round that you can fish, you guys get just so much more pressure than we do up north.
Oh yeah,
'Cause, like
yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, we let the fish recuperate and just kind of chill and for like at least 3 months between late November to early February. It's like if you're
So
out on the water, you're kind of crazy. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
so does anything like ice over there?
We've had a few like times where it's iced on the Patuxent because it's skinnier water when I was little, but like recently, like the past couple years, it hasn't gotten to that point at all. It's somewhat mild in Maryland now. It used to be a lot colder, but now it's somewhat more mild, which I don't know if that's making the fishing better or worse, but yeah, the weather's it's getting better. It's warmer, which is nice.
Oh yeah, yeah. The warm weather, it's not super warm, not been super warm here down south, but the warm weather's definitely nice. A question from my dad actually. You've done a great job branding yourself. Do you have any recommendations for guys slash gals getting started in fishing as far as that goes? Like, sponsorships and social media and stuff like that. Because, I mean, I saw your post, I guess it was yesterday or might have been earlier
Yeah.
today. I mean, Under Armour billboards and stores and stuff. It's so awesome to see, especially, I mean, you only started fishing 3 years ago. And to just build yourself so quick. Gotta drop some tips for everybody.
Yeah, so first of all, I don't see like the names or the questions, but I'll tell you that was a great question. Um, I in terms of branding, I feel like the best thing is just kind of being your authentic self. One, two is like I feel like people in terms of branding, like start off like how do you get sponsored by Bass Pro Shops? How do you do this? How do you do that? And it's steps. It doesn't just happen immediately. But like I started off with a small lure company, Venom Lures, kind of marketed them through that and kind of just grew my brand through that itself and just kind of started gaining sponsors and kind of just climbed the ladder in terms of just like social media and exposure and things such as that. Because it just does not happen overnight. But a thing that a lot of people don't talk about with getting sponsors is how important social media is. Like the things we're doing now, like this podcast and your Instagram, my Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, etc. That's so important for getting yourself out there because that's how you communicate to the public. And that's also what a lot of like these fishermen that have been in the fishing industry for a long time and don't really use social media have struggle with is because like they're not posting any content, and content's what helps you sell products for your sponsors and just helps you in general as just an angler just trying to grow as an angler, just having that social media following and that backing that's just kind of makes you uh kind of I don't know like the right word for it, but kind of inserts you into the fishing industry in terms of that. Um
Yeah,
and
kinda like kinda like the blue check mark almost on Instagram.
exactly, exactly. And I think I know you saw the Jacob Fouts video. Pretty much everybody on YouTube saw it, but just in terms of social media, it it's changing the game in terms of fishing industry. So if anybody on here is really looking at trying to get sponsors, social media is so important. Get as far ahead as you can now and just post content. There's stuff that's you're going to post that hits and it's amazing. You gain so much followers. And Presley, there's stuff that you post that just doesn't doesn't get that much liking. I mean, it's all part of the process. And I tell people that it just does not happen overnight. You got to keep posting, even when you don't want to. You got to keep doing things, even if you don't want to. Like, you just kind of have to push yourself forward and put as much effort in the social media as you do fishing because without sponsors, without family backing, I wouldn't say fan base because I don't think we're that big yet, but
I know
uh,
I'm not.
people that support you is just important,
Yeah,
especially
absolutely.
when you're just traveling the country doing these tournaments.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'd say especially coming all the way up from Maryland. Uh,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, that's good stuff. I definitely agree with being active on social media. And, like you're saying, there's going to have some stuff that does really good and some stuff that doesn't. And I feel like most of the time it's completely random. Like I'll post something, I'm like, man, that was good. And I'll get like, I mean, it's okay,
Yeah,
but it's, you just, but the more and more I'm on social media and like really look at it, just being consistent with it, because the more and more you post, it just continually goes up with your likes and your views and stuff like that, and just getting the right opportunity, posting at the right time and stuff like that. So I definitely agree there. But
exactly, exactly. And it you're totally right. It's the most random things. Like it makes no sense. One time I made day 2 of the BFL and did this random video where I was just sitting in front of my boat and truck, just saying like, "We're gonna get after it today. I'm really excited that I made day 2. Wish me luck. The weather's bad." 70,000 views. For
yeah,
what? No idea. But
yep,
when I do like announcing sponsorships and stuff like that, it does well, but it doesn't get anywhere near 70,000 views.
yeah,
So
yeah, no doubt.
it's random and it's just like fishing. It's like the more you post, like the more you fish, the better off you're gonna be.
Yeah, yeah,
It's just how it
absolutely.
is. So
Yeah, Eli, you can definitely be a part of my fan base. I'd be proud to have you. There's people calling on YouTube. But what do you think of college fishing so far?
it,
Um,
it's different. It really is. This is the first time I fished with a partner. I fished some team
really,
tournaments, but it's different. Yeah, it's the first time I fished with a partner.
that's crazy to me.
It's different. Just like because you're just so used to fishing by yourself. You're so used to like not talking, uh, like just kind of being so focused. And I have a partner now. His name's Nathan, for Bassmaster, and it was just weird because it's it's different fishing with somebody else that has a boat too, because we just have so much knowledge that's different. Him being here in Georgia where he grew up, and me being in Maryland, that it's cool to bounce things off of each other, bounce thoughts, and just kind of run around. But it's different. It really
Yeah,
is different formatting. Just because the way you fish is different, the way you position your boat on brush piles is different. Because at the end of the day, whether me or my partner catches an 8 pounder, it doesn't matter.
yeah.
So
You get the same weight when you weigh in.
exactly, exactly. So
What what made you pick Auburn? Um,
so
had to be pretty high up there on the list to come all the way from Maryland for it.
yeah, huge shout out to Logan Parks. He kind of got me like the exposure into Auburn when I first reached out. I always kind of followed along with the reclamation series
Yeah, dude.
at
Those are
YouTube.
like my favorite videos.
Exactly, and this year, huge shout out to Jake Peck. He's like the media manager, marketing
Yeah,
guy,
yeah, I
fisherman,
know Jake.
great guy.
Yeah,
The reclamation series is coming back. We did have a camera guy with us at Lake Murray, and I will be in that as well, which is really cool to kind of see.
yeah. That's what I
Uh,
like to hear.
yeah, so
Me and my dad both were like, man, why'd they stop doing those? Those were so good.
I know. So we brought it back. And yeah, it's I'm glad I went to Auburn. I liked the fact that they did not have a coach
Yeah,
because of my circumstances. Because I do want to fish the Open still, like 1 or 2 out of the year, and I still do want to fish the Toyota Series, out of the year, and not naming names of colleges, but some of them just were not going to let me do that. So, just kind of to keep my own personal sponsors as well was going to be conflicting with some of these schools that I was looking at that had coaches. So, I mean, I wanted to go to Auburn because it was a great school because at the end of the day, for me, academics first. My parents tell me that all the time. But I just kind of was like the best of both worlds in terms of academics and fishing, and it just kind of all aligned with me. So yeah, that's pretty much the reason I came.
Yeah, yeah. What are you going to school for?
I'm going to school for accounting. I have
Yeah.
not made up my mind, but I'm in the pre-business kind of program right now. So it could be accounting, finance, marketing, communication, supply chain. There's so many, but right now I kind of have my mindset on accounting. Don't really know yet, but yeah, something in terms of business and what I want to do with that is kind of be like if I'm not professionally fishing, be on the business side of the fishing industry because at the end of the day, um, a lot of these companies have people that work for them, like big companies, and that don't know anything about fishing. And I feel like having people on the staff that really kind of live that life of fishing the opens, knowing what it's like, is going to be a lot more understanding and can help brands grow.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's something that I had in my mind also. I just really haven't made up my mind yet. Just kind of working hard in both directions and kind of see where I end up. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I can definitely see where I can't think of a good example, but like getting some firsthand knowledge for a company and stuff would be valuable.
yeah.
Have you always wanted to do something with marketing or accounting, or is that just kind of opportunity when fishing came along?
Uh I've always wanted to be in like the finance somewhat field. But I wanted to go in investment banking for a long time. I don't know why. But when I got into fishing, it just seemed like accounting and finance and marketing, like that kind of realm just seemed so much like it was needed so much in the fishing industry
Yeah, a
that
lot of
like
opportunity there.
yeah, it's just exactly. It was just a lot of opportunity in terms of that. So that's kind of why I wanted to do that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Tony Kelch asked, he doesn't know if you said it yet, but what is your go-to bait and why?
Hmm. You know, I want to before live scope. I would say for sure a square bill or like a DT10 or something along those lines, where it's pretty much like a crankbait, spinner bait, somewhat moving. Um, but with live scope now, I do want to say my favorite bait by far is a Demiki rig. So yeah, I pretty much just throw that all the time, and if they don't eat it, then something's wrong with them, not me.
Yeah, there you go. Um, another comment from my dad. Once you get your accountant degree, you'll probably stop fishing when you run the numbers on it.
Exactly. Oh, no, I know. I know. That's why I'm trying to fish as much as possible and really go on the road because then when I'm done and I actually have to keep track of my own expenses, it's gonna be a problem. It's gonna
Yeah.
be a
Oh
problem.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good. I'm gonna be like the entry fees are how much now?
Yeah.
You said
Seriously.
10,000 or
Yeah.
20?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's I think the accounting degree too is like what exactly what your dad's saying. Like it'll help me and others that I'll try to help too in the fishing industry, like save money, spend money smart. You know what I mean? Stuff along those lines. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. What's your favorite your best story you can come up with from tournaments, whether it was your very first one or funniest moment, or what do you look back on and you're like, man, that was a good time.
uh that's a good one. I would say okay, so I would say um I was out fishing it was just a local Potomac tournament, some sort. Funny. It was a funny moment. It was the BFL, the 2-day BFL Super Tournament, and day one we had to stay in Mattawoman Creek, which is where the launch is. 150 boats, unbelievable. But because we had like that tropical storm come down, and it was just like
Oh,
it was like 6 footers on the main river, and etc.
really?
Yeah, it was dangerous. So we stayed in that creek. I caught like 9 pounds, which is not good for Potomac at all. But I was in like seventh, so I fished day two, and the weather's just the same, if not worse. The wind's 10 times worse, and
Wow.
uh, not like because we have like they have MLF has a Phoenix that they send out to look like to see whether like you're able to run, like because like
Yeah.
you don't want to they don't want to put you out there for no reason, and
Yeah.
they were like, okay, yeah, you guys are good to go. Before like they texted us on the way to the ramp, and we're like, okay, yeah, we believe them. And my dad's backing me in because I was like, I don't know, 16 at the time, couldn't even drive by myself. He's backing me in, and uh I look at the Phoenix and it's bone dry. Like I'm talking there is no water on it at all. Like the test boat had no water, and I was a little sketched because
Yeah.
I was like, they said they checked. So I was like, I let it go. I I went out there, and like you take off, you're in a protected area, you're going like 65, 70, however fast your boat goes. And all of a sudden when that current and the wind go the opposite direction, it creates this like,
Oh, yeah. It's always worse when they're going against each other.
oh, it's the worst. And I hit one of those waves in midair that you hit, and you're
Oh,
like
yeah.
in
You
the air,
float.
like in Talladega Nights where you got like Will Ferrell. He's like, I'm in the air, it's not good.
Yep.
Like it was one of those
I'm flying
moments.
through the air right now. This ain't good.
Yeah, exactly.
My dad will appreciate that one.
Yeah, yeah. It was one of those. It was one of those moments, and I had a pretty good day, but it was just funny because I do all this running, and my co-angler tells me like in the middle of the day, as like I've speared 4 waves. My hummingbird came off. I had to throw it in the back, and he tells me he can't swim. And I'm like, bro. I sit here for a second, scratching my head. I'm like, bro. So you're telling me we did all this all day, and you haven't been scared that you just can't swim at all? He's like, no, I've been scared. I was like, and you didn't tell me? And he was like, well, I just thought it'd be funny. Like if I fell in the water, like I wouldn't be able to swim. I'm like,
Yeah, it'd be
that's
real
not
funny.
funny. I'm like, that's not funny.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm like, I hope that life jacket will save you. He's like, oh no, it will. But I just found it funny because it was like we're in 6 footers all day,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the
A
guy
little
tells me
sketchy.
when we're 30 minutes away from the ramp that he can't swim. I'm like,
Can't swim.
we're fishing, bro. Like, how do you
Yeah.
not be able to swim? But yeah, so
It's
I
not
think that
there.
was one of my funniest moments. Another one of my funny moments is definitely just fishing with my dad because he always just used to just go out there. He just do some funny stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
just everyday things. We get in rough water, and he's like, his like feet fly up in the air. It's just funny stuff
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. I don't
Fishing.
really have a favorite, but I I go through a lot of funny stuff. So
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's all you never. If it's the same with your dad, you never know what's gonna happen when you go fishing with your dad.
no, not at all.
Got some good pictures and videos that I probably shouldn't post of
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
running down the lake, sandwich hanging out his mouth, whatever it might be.
Yeah. Oh, for
But
sure. It was this one time. My dad, he was going to the bathroom at the back of the boat, had his hand on a power pole, and I was messing with him. I was gonna deploy it, and he would
oh
fall
man,
right in the water. But I was messing with him, and it's just funny things like that that are just priceless. Because now, like, I haven't fished with my dad in probably a year and a half, and like, which is crazy. And this weekend, it might be the first time he's gonna come back here at Auburn, and we're gonna go fishing for a little bit. So that'll be
that's
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, how often will you go back home, being so far away from home? Just for holidays or what?
Yeah, holidays. Whenever my mom says I need to come home,
Yeah,
uh,
true.
but yeah, it's it it's far. I mean, it's 12 hours. I haven't flown. I'm a big driver. I love driving. So
Yeah,
I'll just
yeah, I'm
drive,
similar.
but like, yeah, it's far. I mean, it's straight down 85. Good thing is my brother, he goes to Elon University in North Carolina. It's like 5 hours from home, straight down 85. So he's like the perfect like halfway mark if I want to leave in the afternoon, drive 7 hours to North Carolina, then finish the rest of the way.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's
so
nice.
I try to go back at holidays, spring breaks, stuff like that, or if there's like some sort of family event, or but it's just it it, it doesn't happen a lot because it's not close.
Yeah, yeah,
I
definitely.
can't tell my mom that because she will not be a happy camper.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Traveling so much and going all these tournaments and driving and just being busy all the time. Do you ever feel burnout or kind of just like, man, I need a break? And if you do, how do you deal with that?
You know, I really haven't felt burnt out, but there's been times where I'm just uh, like I need a reset. Like after bad tournaments, like bad tournaments, I just I don't really say like burn myself out or just say like as a joke like I quit like blah 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 blah. I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that. I kind of just mentally reset. I might take a day off where I'm just like I won't look at fishing. I'll just hang out. But then the day after, I'll go to one of these bodies of water that I feel confident in and just kind of regain my confidence back for the next tournament. I try not to get burnt out because again, fishing is 90% mental in my opinion.
I agree.
If you go out there thinking you're not going to catch them, you're just not. Like it's really rare that things just happen um, with a negative mindset. So I try to stay as positive as possible and just think like, I mean, everything happens for a reason. So I don't necessarily get burnt out, but I mean, there's times where I'm just like, I need like a reset day for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just day off.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Just
yeah. Uh, Eli Baird asked, "How many anglers are?" I think he's saying how many people are on the team at Auburn. I think
so we have, I would like to say 75.
that's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, we do. But maybe maybe 25 of us fish like tournaments,
Like
30
for
maybe.
travel and stuff.
Yeah, but then probably out of that 30, I would say there's a solid 10 to 15 guys that you can expect at every tournament, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah,
it's not a question of like, for example, like Carson, Blake, like Jake Pack Cardi, like me, Nathan, Evan, Kyle. There's a bunch of guys, but there's no question like they're not gonna ask us like, are you guys going? Like it's assumed. You know what
yeah,
I mean? So it's definitely nice. And it's also nice that we have people on the team that are interested in fishing but don't fish a lot because a lot of us do like to take them out on our free time and just kind of give them exposure to fishing and seeing what it's like on the tournament scene and just kind of seeing how they like fishing in general. So
yeah, yeah. Kind of get them out there a little bit.
exactly. Yeah.
So with Bassmaster going to the kind of like the two separate trails this year, I get are y'all fishing with? I guess you fish. Are y'all only fishing the one trail?
Yeah, so for school of the year points, I really don't know all the details, but for school of the year points, I know you need to be able you can only do one event, like one trail,
Yeah,
uh, because that applies to your points. We decided to do the Legends Trail because I mean, it was just the vote was won by a landslide. Do I regret my vote because of what happened at Lake Murray? 100%. But But I mean, it is what it is. I do like the fact that we're going to Saginaw Bay in Michigan. Some
Yeah.
smallmouth. I love smallmouth. By the way,
Is there
St.
smallmouth?
Lawrence,
Is there
yes.
smallmouth back home?
No, not really. But in the summer, like I go to St. Lawrence River and Champlain, and I don't know if you've been, but you
I
and your
want to go.
dad, you guys have to go. I'm
Yeah.
not even I'm not I'm not making this up. If you catch 20 pounds a day, that is literally just like the median.
It's crazy.
I know. Like I've
Just pat
never
on the back.
I've never not smiled at that place. Like it's just so fun. Like even if you break off a smallmouth, you will be like, dang, like that sucks. You'll pitch out there again. You'll catch a 5 pounder. You're like,
Yeah.
wow. I
It's
mean,
crazy, dude.
honestly, I mean, you guys can stop by Maryland whenever because it's like the perfect halfway point for you guys. But like, it is unbelievably good. Like, you guys
Yeah.
have to make a trip. You have to make a trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
We've been talking about it and talking about it forever.
oh
But
yeah,
we've been to St. Clair and Saginaw Bay for high school opens, but
it's nothing.
never been up kind of in the right side of the north.
It's nothing. It's nothing compared to St. Lawrence River. I can promise you. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Guarantee
know,
it.
I know St. Clair and Saginaw, like the weights are really good, but the quantity and quality on the St. Lawrence is good. Like I had a bad day on the open and caught like 16 something, 16.8. And I mean it was fine. It had me in like 90th place out of 250, but that's not really great. But when you're fishing against those guys, it's fine because there's just pressure. But during practice, I mean, you'll catch 20 something pounds. You'll catch 20 pounds a day, but like you'll catch it on 10 different spots with 30, 40 fish all around the same size. Like it's
Yeah.
different. It's totally worth the trip. All
Oh
honesty.
yeah. Yeah. I definitely got to make the trip up there sometime. What about you mentioned Champlain? What do you think about Champlain?
Champlain is really good. Uh, it's definitely tougher than the St. Lawrence, just because it gets a lot more pressure, in my opinion. Um, because the current there is not nearly as strong, but Champlain's really good. Also, if I were to rank, I would say St. Lawrence is the best. I would say Cayuga Lake is second. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
That place is nuts. like
Yeah.
like with deep largemouth, I've never seen fish fight so hard, and it's so like unbelievably good. Like you'll throw a deep crank in like 20 feet of water, and they will literally rip the paint off of it.
And that was kind of like a little secret lake
It
before,
was,
especially before the Bass Pro Tour went there. I guess it was their last year, the year before. There was
yeah,
a there was a guy that I followed on Instagram. I think his name's Brandon Exner maybe, and he
maybe,
always posted that he was there. And like, dude posted 5 6 pounders every single day, and even just fishing off the bank. And
yeah,
I was like, where is he fishing at? But then when the Elite or Bass Pro Tour went there, I was like, man, that place is legit.
yeah. Oh, it's really really good, and up north, like all those lakes are good. But what makes them special is because of times like right now where it's so cold, those
Yeah,
fish don't get pressured nearly as much.
right.
So, I mean, you're fishing 3, 4 months out of the year, um, there. So you just make the best of it. And they're hungry. So are
Yeah,
you guys going to Saginaw Bay in
yeah,
Michigan?
yeah. So high school it goes Clarksville this weekend, and then Douglas, then Rayburn, and then Saginaw Bay. So we don't have like two separate trails. We just got the four straight ones.
Okay.
Uh, so
When
yeah,
when is Saginaw Bay?
it's the same time y'all are there, and it's like the second week of June, maybe first week of
Okay.
June, like the
I'm
ninth, I want to say.
I'm just throwing this out there. Me and a couple of the guys are going from there to the St. Lawrence River if you're in. Just
Oh
letting you know.
man, I might have to tag along on that one.
I'm just letting you know.
How
I
far is
know
it from Michigan? I feel like
I
it's
I think it's pretty far. It's
yeah, I
like
want to say it is because like it's like you have to go all the way around, kinda.
yeah, I think it's like 9 hours.
Okay,
I remember, but um my cousin, he lives in Ohio and it's on the way. So we
yeah,
just stay with him and then keep going. But um I told him like you guys can't leave being up north and not go to the St. Lawrence River. It's
oh
just
yeah,
you can't. And I haven't fished the lake yet there either. And I heard
really,
that place is nuts, but
yeah.
I haven't done it yet. So
Yeah, whenever I hear people talk about it, they say, there's, like, the river portion, but then it's like, if the weather of course, if the weather is, if it's more than 3 mile-an-hour winds, you can't go,
yeah.
but, they say especially the lake is just crazy good.
Oh yeah, it's really really good, and I mean even the mouth of the river into the lake, like the Clayton area, is really really good. That's where like all the guys that pretty much did good on the opens. That's where they ran, and it's good. But when that wind picks up, it's not like Logan. He was out fishing. Though he was fishing the open, obviously, and he ran up north. Caught, I mean, like towards the lake, and caught like 25 pounds in like 30 minutes or something. And then day two, we had like 10 mile an hour winds, and he just like it just
You
changes the
just
whole
can't do it.
like it's unbelievable. And then I saw him at 10 o'clock running back towards the river because he's just like, bro, like you just can't.
Yeah, just don't even try.
Yeah, it's not like you follow where it's like, oh, when this wind picks up, that bite you get good. It's like when the wind picks up, you got to get off the water.
Yeah, you gotta go. Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta go. So
yeah, it's a different world up there for sure. So,
yeah,
I know, like, in Saginaw Bay and St. Clair, or I guess St. Clair not as much, but does St. Lawrence have any, like, decent largemouth fishing? Or is it
okay. So I promise you, we were talking about this literally an hour and a half ago with the team. It's literally St. Lawrence River is one of the most slept on largemouth fisheries in the country
really?
because smallmouth is just fished so much.
Yeah, nobody thinks
Literally,
about it.
like, yeah, they just like when you go because when you go there, all you think of smallmouth.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to some creeks that were just full of grass, hydrilla, milfoil mix, and just had stuff all over it, and docks, and I literally caught like 20 pounds a day, all largemouth.
Really?
Like it's really really good. It's just not talked about because like everybody wants to fish those smallmouth, but like in those islands, like in the because they call it Thousand Islands, in those islands, like in those little cuts, like the grass will be like meat up in like those cuts, and there's tank largemouth in there. There
Yeah,
really is.
heck yeah. That's kinda get a mix of both if you go up there.
Yeah. Oh
We'll check
yeah.
out
It's
too.
really good.
JJ said he's going there in July, so you'll have to check out the largemouth. Well, JJ doesn't catch any fish. It's just his boys, but, he's a coach here for one of the teams. If you had to have one trip, like, I mean, it could be anywhere in the world, where would you go fishing at? It could be the ocean, it could be Mexico, Canada. I don't know where fishing is in Canada, but
Okay, I'm stuck between two.
you can have 2. We can take 2 trips.
So in Mexico, I went to Mexico for winter break. We went fishing for swordfish, sailfish, marlin. That's what it's called, marlin.
Marlin.
That was a fun trip. I would totally do that again. I caught a 215-pound marlin, and he broke off like probably 20 feet ahead of me. Fought it
Really?
for an hour. Yeah, it's pretty heartbreaking. So like I feel like I have to go back to fully
You got
catch
it.
it.
Yeah, gotta get
You
some
know what
more.
I mean? But in terms of bass, like bass fishing, I would say I heard like there's some sneak stuff in Mexico.
Mm, some
Like
sneaky stuff.
like like right like right below Texas, like El Salto Lake or something like that. And there's like
Yeah,
some
yeah, that's Yeah, I've known some guys that have been down there. That's
Yeah, I heard it's good. Maybe OH Ivy too with Josh Jones. That
yeah,
sounds pretty fun
that'd be a
too.
good trip.
Yeah, so I
That'd be a
mean,
good trip.
I would like to break double digits someday. Have you yet?
No, never caught a double digit.
I
Never caught a
know,
double
man.
digit.
I want to so bad though. It'll
Oh,
happen. So.
I'd say somewhere down there, Texas or Mexico would be the place to do it.
Oh, for sure,
Um,
for sure.
JJ asked, "What tournament are you most excited about this season?"
I would say definitely Saginaw Bay for College Series and Champlain for the Northern Toyota Series. Just because I love going up north. Something to look forward to every summer. Um, but yeah, I think those are the two I'm looking forward to the most. Maybe the Open on Santee Cooper in March. That's during my spring break. If I can get in, I'm kind of on the wait list right now. But stuff. I hope some guys will probably drop just because like they don't do good in the first couple of opens that start. But yeah, I would say Santee or just going up north for some of those tournaments in the summer. Great question. Thank you.
Yeah, have you ever been to Santa Cooper before?
I have not. Have you?
No, never been. I
Yeah.
uh just watch, the Elite Series and stuff like that. It's a pretty good lake, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
apparently it's really good. I mean,
yeah,
it seems like a lot of stuff is one there shallow too. So
yeah, and I mean, it's strictly largemouth too.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
strictly Cypress too. I
yeah,
mean, it seems like, or at least some sort of cover pads, or it looks like almost like the Potomac, but yeah, I feel like it'll be good. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Maybe there's a slight chance I'll turn off the live scope. Maybe.
maybe.
Might have to flip it into perspective, but
Oh yeah, yeah, perfect. Yeah, could do that. Could do that.
I
What?
there's times where on YouTube, I mean, obviously I've seen some guys catching them on cypress trees in perspective mode, just seeing them
Really?
like like on certain positions of the tree because I mean it just makes you so much more efficient because I mean like it changes you so you can make like two flips at a tree and not 17. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, well, we've been on here a while, so I won't keep you too much longer. Uh, but what if you had one bait you had to take everywhere, any lake, north, south, east, west, to catch just a fish, catch a keeper? What would it be? Like tough as nails, you got to put one in the boat.
I would say a robo worm
Robo worm
or
on a
or a venom lures buzztail shad.
is
One
that
of the
is it a swim bait?
It's a swim bait with like a ultra vibe speedworm tail. It's
Gotcha.
really good. It's like a shad profile. It's like if you were to imagine a fluke with a speedworm tail. That's exactly what it looks like. And it's
Okay.
really good. You can drag it, swim it, Carolina rig, or I just an old fashioned robo worm. One of those two, I feel like I could get bit all around the country just throwing one of those two things. So
Yeah. Yeah, I could that I gotta look into that. Sounds
oh yeah,
legit.
it's really good. I'll send you a few packs.
Well,
Just let me know what
do
color.
it. I
Yeah,
will gladly take them.
yeah. Just
Uh,
let me know what color you want.
you got it, dude. If you had one piece of advice, I ask everybody this. One piece of advice, it doesn't matter if it's life advice, fishing advice, restaurant advice, it could be anything. What would it be?
Uh, I got to think about this one for a second. I would say just I would say like dream big and work really hard. Honestly, like in the generation we are in now, like honestly, anything is possible. And I feel like if you put your mind to something and you work hard and you do it, it'll all pan out in the long run. Um, yeah. So I mean, in terms of that, I just think just working hard in everything you do, and just kind of trying to be your best self is just gonna just make you a better person. Just help you achieve your dreams. So I guess like in terms of school, your job, fishing, social media, whether you're trying to build your brand, it all requires hard work. So I mean, if you put your mind to it, anything can happen. So
Work hard. I like it. Work
yeah,
hard. Good deal. Well, Reese, thank you for coming on the podcast tonight. It's been fun. Got some good questions on here. Got to answer and everything. It's been a good time, man.
thank
Had
you,
a had a
Presley. I
good night.
appreciate it, and
Yeah,
I definitely have
absolutely.
to get you on one of my Instagram lives here in the coming future. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Also, thank
Oh
you for
yeah,
having me on the
yeah,
podcast.
dude. Absolutely. And y'all make sure and go follow him on YouTube. Or, do you have YouTube?
I don't. I just
Okay.
have just Instagram and Facebook.
So Instagram and Facebook. I know Instagram. It's Pax River Reese, right?
Yes.
And
Yep.
that's because you grew up on the
Patuxent. Yeah.
Patuxent.
So
Yep.
PAX is abbreviation for it. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, I read that in your Bassmaster article, Silas.
Yes.
Been reading up. Y'all make sure and go follow him, keep up with him on social media and stuff. Got some good posts, and probably learn a little bit about social media. And he's a good one to look after. So Reese, it's been fun. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next week on the Bass Lane. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Presley. Have a good one.